As in every new year, there are lots of changes happening in 2025. New year, new me and all that, and the same goes for Denmark. There are all kinds of new laws, requirements, and programs that will be kicking off this year, and I figured it was a good time to talk about them. Whether it's your taxes, your driving tests, or your renovation plans, there's a little something set to change for just about everyone living in Denmark this year. So let's yap about what might be different for you in 2025, whether I stick to my New Year's resolutions of meal prep and limited screen time or not. First up, if you're a foreigner who's been unemployed for a while, you may want to start a podcast or something. There's a new law in effect from January 1st where some foreign residents who've been unemployed for a longer period of time will need to perform obligatory work to receive welfare benefits. This applies if you haven't lived in Denmark for at least 9 of the last 10 years or worked full-time for at least 2.5 of the last 10 years. So if you're in the social welfare system, you might be required to do up to 37 hours a week of employment-focused activities like internships or community service jobs. It's a pretty big change, so definitely worth checking out how it might affect you. Speaking of things that will impact foreigners like me, the cost of applying for Danish citizenship is going up. The fee is increasing from 4,000 kroner to 6,000 kroner, but not just yet. This won't kick off until May 1st of 2025. So if you're thinking about applying, now might be a good time to do it if you want to save 2,000 kroner. Now for homeowners, there's some good news that could put more money back into your pockets. The tax deduction for home improvements is making a comeback from January 1st. This will help with renovations that meet certain climate criteria like energy upgrades and climate proofing your home. If you've got plans to green up your living space, this could be a nice little boost for you. Deduction limits are set at 8,600 kroner for green improvements and 17,500 kroner for general service work. Starting January 19th, rail and bus fares will see some changes across Denmark. In the eastern regions, including Copenhagen and most of Sjælland, travel passes and Rejsekort trips will only see slight increases, but single ticket prices will remain unchanged. But in Aarhus and central Jylland, expect higher prices for single tickets, Rejsekort, and commuter passes, although special tickets will stay the same. Interestingly, night bus fares will drop and the surcharge for bringing a bike will be eliminated. I can't really find a pattern or logic to these changes, but maybe somebody else can. Now, on the topic of getting around, Copenhagen and Aarhus are moving forward with plans to implement zero-emission zones in central areas during 2025. These zones will likely be small, making it possible to park nearby and continue on foot or by public transportation or bike. This initiative aims to reduce air pollution and provide cleaner air in city centers, and as a mammal, I'm a huge fan of air, so this is some good news. Good scat, new scat. I'm so dumb. But the employment tax deduction will increase, which allows employed residents of Denmark to earn more income tax-free. This change, along with adjustments to the top scat for high earners, means that many people should be seeing lower tax bills next year. On that note, don't forget to have a look and update your preliminary tax return as soon as you see this video, especially if your employment or homeownership status has changed. Things may change for you. Now let's talk more about your money. Now, starting January 6th, collective bargaining agreements will kick off with the Central Organization of Industrial Employees in Denmark leading talks with Danish industry. The talks will decide labor rates for members of Danish unions. Denmark's acute labor shortages are expected to be a hot topic and a major driver of the negotiations. Now, for those of you who are still learning how to drive, or my French friend who ignored speeding tickets in her e-box and has to retake her driver's test, there are big updates for you. As of January 1st, you won't be able to have interpreters present at your driving exam anymore. Désolé. Instead, you have to say and learn how to parallel park. Only kidding about that last part, but the test will be available in 5 languages: Danish, English, Faroese, Greenlandic, and German. So hopefully, if you are taking a driver's exam, you're comfortable enough to take it in one of those languages. Speaking of language issues for renters, there's actually some helpful news. The Danish Rent Act already requires that landlords use an authorized rental contract, but soon that will be available in English as well. The rental housing contract should be out in early 2025 and hopefully make it easier for non-Danish speakers to understand the rental agreements without needing a translator. Damn, we really don't need translators or interpreters at all in 2025. But on the subject of people who are speaking unintelligibly and are difficult to understand, there are significant changes in store for alcohol sales to teenagers. From April 1st, if you're under 18, you won't be able to buy drinks with more than 6% alcohol. Now, when I was under 18, that's about all I needed to do the trick, but sadly, there is more bad news for teen drinkers looking to get a little crunk. In some nightlife zones, bars won't be selling alcohol to under 18ers at all after 10 p.m. It's all part of a plan to reduce alcohol consumption among young people. And from my expression, you can probably tell that I think it should work. Unrelated, Tuborg and other brands will be phasing out the royal seals as part of an effort to modernize the monarchy. When Kong Frederik X ascended to the throne in 2024, there were 104 Danish companies and 5 foreign companies that held a very prestigious royal designation, but the Royal House of Denmark announced that these companies could only continue to use this royal distinction until the end of their 5-year validity period, and at least until January 14th of 2025. On a more serious note, asbestos removal rules are tightening up as of January 1st. This is in response to a 2024 claim of worker endangerment by a Danish construction firm. Now, only companies authorized by the Danish Safety Technology Authority can handle asbestos demolition. This change aims to prevent health issues related to asbestos exposure, so if you're planning any renovations, be sure to hire the right professionals. The case that I mentioned is quite sad and involved 6 teenage workers that were handling asbestos, and some were under the age of 16. Yikes. There's no nice way to transition away from that one, but if you're a frequent flyer, prepare for a new air travel tax coming in for a landing. Initially, it will average about 70 kroner per flight, but gradually increase through 2030 when it'll hit about 100 kroner per passenger. It's all part of a push to make air travel more sustainable, but not as sustainable as avoiding a flight completely. Hey, you can look down on those beautiful windmills from your carbon footprint in the sky, but here's one way that you can earn back a little bit of karma. There's a new approach to organ donation starting from June 1st of 2025 in Denmark. Everyone over 18 will be automatically registered as a potential organ donor unless they opt out. It's a softer version of an opt-out system where family members can still have a say if they haven't determined whether the person that passed away in their family made their wishes clear, and we're going to assume that you want us to have your organs. Another fun one, a new law banning most foreign flags on flagpoles will be coming into effect on January 1st, with exceptions for a few of Denmark's besties like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Germany, which ironically is the country that first made Denmark consider banning flags in the first place. A lot of people don't know about this ongoing legal battle over flag flying in Denmark, and I made a video about this with Mike when it first began to hit the news, which you can watch right here by clicking away. I hope you're ready for an exciting 2025 in Denmark, all these changes that are coming your way, and thank you so much for watching. Hi.